Have you ever heard of demon summoning games? The mysterious rituals whispered about, games where even the smallest mistake can mean you'll never return to normal life again. Tonight, I will tell you a story about a group of friends who tried to summon a spirit, and accidentally awakened an evil force beyond their control. That night, deep in the woods inside an abandoned house, 4 friends gathered. They were Min, Lon, Hung, and Tuan. Min, the group's ringleader, was always fascinated by the supernatural. He had brought along an old Ouija board he had purchased from an antique store. "It's just a game." "Don't be such a coward," Min laughed, placing the board on the table. Lon shivered. "I don't think we should do this. What if something happens?" Tuan chuckled, cracking open a beer. "This is all nonsense. If ghosts were real, they'd be bored to death by now." Under the flickering candlelight, they placed their hands on the planchette, and Min started the game. "If anyone is here, give us a sign." Nothing happened. Min raised an eyebrow, smirking at the others. "See? Nothing. Let's keep going." But just as he was about to lift his hand, the planchette moved. Lon yanked her hand away in horror. "Who did that? Stop messing around." Hung shook his head, face pale. "Not me." The letters on the board began forming words, "I am here." The smiles vanished. Min swallowed hard. Who are you?" The planchette moved again. "The master of this house." Suddenly, the candles went out. Lon screamed. Tuan fumbled to turn on a flashlight, and as its flickering light illuminated the room, they saw something that made their blood run cold. In the corner, a tall shadowy figure stood motionless. It had no eyes, no mouth, just a grotesque grin stretching unnaturally wide. The air turned icy. The shadows around them seemed to breathe, shifting unnaturally. A deep, guttural voice resonated through the room. "You should not have come here." They ran. The front door was locked. Their phones had no signal. Every exit was cloaked in an unnatural fog. The house seemed to twist and warp, trapping them within endless corridors. Min stammered, "We have to end the game. We have to say goodbye." They scrambled back to the Ouija board, but before they could touch it, the planchette moved on its own. Too late. A distorted, maniacal laugh echoed behind them. Then, a whisper, right next to Lan's ear. "I see you." She screamed as she felt cold, bony fingers brush against her neck. The others turned, but there was no one there, just a chilling breath against their skin. Hung grabbed Min's hand. "We have to get out of here now." The walls began to close in. The once spacious room now felt like a coffin. The shadows slithered out of every crevice, reaching for them with dripping, skeletal hands. The air was filled with whispers, thousands of overlapping voices, laughing. Tuan lunged for the window, smashing the glass with a chair. But as he climbed out, a blackened hand seized him. His scream turned into a choked gasp as he was pulled into the darkness. The others could only watch in horror as he vanished into nothingness. Lon sobbed. "Please. Let us go." The board trembled. The planchette moved. "Play." Hung yanked Lon toward the door. "Run." But there was no escape. The darkness consumed them. Their screams echoed through the house, blending into the endless, haunting laughter. The next morning, the police arrived. The house was empty. There was no trace of the 4 friends. Only the Ouija board remained, sitting undisturbed on the table. The planchette rested on a single word, "play." And from that day forward, every year on that very night, anyone who passes by the house can still hear laughter drifting through the wind, as if someone is still playing the game. And if you listen closely enough, perhaps, just perhaps, you will hear them begging for help. Years later, another group of teenagers stumbled upon the abandoned house. Curious, they stepped inside, laughing, daring each other to stay the night. The house was quiet, at first. But as darkness fell, strange things began to happen. Objects moved on their own. Shadows flickered unnaturally on the walls. The air grew suffocatingly cold. And in the middle of the room, untouched by time, the Ouija board still lay waiting. One of them, trembling, placed a hand on the planchette. "Hello? Is anyone there?" The board remained still. For a moment, there was silence. Then, the planchette shot across the board. A single word appeared, "Yes."